So last night, UFC 264 happened. The main event, as we all know, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. That was the biggest talking point of the night, but my takeaway was the whole night in general. It was an all-around success for American sports because that represented a meritocracy and American sports and what they should be, honestly. It was a great night filled with sports, no politics, no wokeness, no anything like that. That's what sports is about. We saw President number 45, Donald Trump, in attendance, and the cameras weren't even on him. That's what it's about, guys. This competition, people tuning in to this sporting event, not to be preached to, not to be told about how these athletes are victims, nothing like that. We tune in for the entertainment, for the competition, and that's what took place. There was a bunch of good fights, a bunch of recognizable names that someone like me, I wouldn't even call myself an average UFC fan. I only watch the big fights, all right? Like a lot of people do. But names that I recognize, obviously Greg Hardy, the former NFL player, the Brazilian dude, I forget the Brazilian dude's name, but I recognized him. I knew who he was, that he was going up against. Obviously Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. It was a really good night with a bunch of good fighters. There was no wokeness. There was no politics. It made it really good. Shout out to Dana White for putting this together, for putting all these people in position, putting two people out there that obviously hate each other. That's part of the reason it was so entertaining. It's because of the background, all right? People wanted to see what happened in the third match of Poirier and McGregor. They've got history there. And while I'm on the topic of them fighting, it's not a very good ending to see Conor McGregor like that. Oh man, what a gruesome injury. His leg literally snapped. His ankle snapped. And he's down there on the ground in the stretcher, got the air cast on or whatever it was, the cast or whatever. Literally talking smack, talking about Poirier's wife sliding into his DMs while he's on the ground and can't even walk. And he might be done. He might retire. He definitely should think about it. I don't know if he will or not because McGregor has too much pride just to go down like that. But obviously a tough situation for him. I think it'll take him at least 8 months to come back. But that leg was beaten up so much in earlier fights and things like that. I really don't know if I can see him coming back. And if he does, I don't know if I can see him fighting and winning against someone like that. But that aside, what a gruesome injury. Sad to see him he was literally just trying to take a step back and put all of his body weight onto it, and he couldn't. It snapped. His leg definitely broke and fractured earlier in the fight on a kick or something, and then that was just the ultimate breaking point, if you know what I mean. But it's all about those good stories, those non-political stories. That's what people want to see. Smack talking. If they fight again, that ups the stage, that ups the ante, that more people are going to want to see that. This is what American sports are about. Dana White allowing people to go in there, all right? He knows there's a lot of Trump supporters. He knows there's a lot of other side Biden supporters. You can be far right, you can be far left. Dana White lets you do whatever you want, and that's how it should be. That's the greatness of America. People having their own opinions, representing their own thoughts, their own independent beliefs, and who they support and things like that. And speaking of, while we're talking about who supports who, a man that a lot of people support walked in last night, Donald Trump, number 45 himself. And just look up Donald Trump, UFC 264 on Google, and there will be a lot of headlines. Some say, he was booed. Some say standing ovation. My advice for me, look up the video. It's pretty obvious. There's a lot of people chanting him on, giving him a round of applause, things like that. But one thing, even for the people that were booing him, they were standing up. All right, that was consistent all around the arena. All right, people were standing up when he walks in. The attention's on him. Everyone looks at him. Everyone wants to see who's there. Donald John Trump, number 45, and that just says something about his popularity and his character. All right, and while I speak of Trump walking in and gaining the attention of the whole arena, isn't it great to see just a full arena, a full stadium, a full venue with no social distancing, with fans packed, energetic, right up into the fight, right up on the ring? That's what sports are about. That's the reason I'm making this video, is because I was sitting there at a buddy's house, all of us watching the fight, just having a good time. And sports aren't like this anymore. Like, you can't watch an NBA playoff game without some Black Lives Matter commercial in the middle. Part of the reason that a lot of people, the ratings aren't doing great right now, but more people are enjoying this NBA Finals than last year, because you have like the Bucks and Suns, two like entertaining teams when it comes to sports, two teams, non-super teams. Imagine how much people would hate it if it was like Lakers Nets. Those two polarizing, a lot of people hate them, super teams. A lot of people hate LeBron James, China James. But when you have something that like Dana White has created, where the focus is on the fight itself, the product itself, the entertainment itself, the athletes themselves, and most importantly, just giving a good product for the fans and for the people watching, you're going to have something like this where me, someone who only watches these huge fights, I enjoyed watching it. I had a really good time, all right? I feel like I learned a little about UFC, and that's great, because Dana White, that's what he wants. He wants to grow this brand. And when you have a great, well, I don't even know if it's a league or not, but when you have a great product like this, it's going to bring people in, especially right now in the world where everything is woke, everything is racist, everything is sexist, everything is homophobic. Everyone's afraid of getting canceled on the internet. Everyone's afraid of this and that. It's a super divided nation, all this, all that, all the polarizing stuff going on in the world. When you could have a great event like this, this is a true unifying event, all right? President Biden, he wants to talk about unifying. This was a true unifying event. A bunch of Americans coming together, not talking about who they voted for, this or that, watching Conor McGregor fight Dustin Poirier, and it was a huge success. And it's really obvious Dana White understands when you go woke, you go broke, because he refuses to bend the knee, he refuses to go woke, and he appeals to most Americans. Because at the end of the day, the reason people like me are so passionate about wokeness in sports and politics in sports and things like that is because sports were taken away. These sports we see nowadays, they aren't what they used to be. But things like the UFC 264, Dana White, people like that, people with the attitude, it doesn't matter if you support Conor McGregor or not, people with his attitude, his competitive spirit, his fire to compete, things like that, that's what people want to see. That's what I want to see. That's what most of the nation wants to see. And this was really a great success for just American sports in general.